I would never understand how a guy could leave a girl, right? Like with their baby. Like you have a kid. So you gotta it's something that you guys gotta be together at least until like that kid is old enough to not have trauma, right? Because you want that kid to be successful, right? Yo, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Nick Torius, and this is Nick Torius Nite. Today's topic is something most people will never understand. We're talking about superior genetics. Not the genetics you get from your parents, but the genetics you build from your mind, your energy, and your identity. Because there are two kinds of people in this world. Those who are run by their past and those who reprogram their future. All right, so I'm your host, Nick Torius, and that was my attempt at trying to make this podcast as professional as I can in the amount of time that I have to create it. For tonight, in this podcast, we talk about a lot of mostly productivity things, mostly things about organization and all that stuff, and what is it? Success, right? My last podcast episode was all about success. I think I called it Success Sells, right? And part of success is the gene pool, right? I was listening to this book. It was called Anti-Fragile, right? I was listening to a book called Anti-Fragile, and in the book they were talking about the fragility of genes and stuff, and they were talking about evolution and everything, and it got me thinking about Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm just kidding. A funny joke I always hear is a funny joke that I made up, actually. I never heard anyone say it, but it goes, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, your wholeness can be erased, right? And that's kind of true, because it's a joke about vaginal rejuvenation, but the thing is that when it comes to genetics, I heard a quote last week. It was really good. It said that your parents gave you your genetics and your identity from birth, but then when you grow up, everything else is all your decisions, right? And I feel when you come from a family of just not being accepted in your family, it's kind of freeing to hear something like that, because you if you're an overachiever like I am, you don't want to be around underachievers, right? Because underachievers, they'll feel they're doing the most according to their terms, right? But to you, it's they're not doing anything, right? It reminds me of something that Brandon Carter said when I was listening to his podcast. He said that he thought he was doing a lot, and then he hit up Alex Hormozy, and how Alex Hormozy was doing way more than he was, and he's damn, bro, I gotta step my shit up, bro, because he was doing because Brandon already does a lot. Alex is doing a lot more. Whatever. I always start the show. We're gonna get into that topic later on, but I always start the show just talking about a show that I watch. If you watched the last podcast, I talked about how I don't watch TV, so it's kind of redundant that I start the podcast off with something I watch. But I was just thinking about this because I was watching Nobody Wants This last week, and I feel it kind of got me thinking about some stuff, right? Because obviously in the show, the main character the girl, she like doesn't want to convert or whatever, right? Like she says like, yeah, I'll convert, and sometimes she's like, nah, I won't convert. And it's funny because you know, it got me thinking. Like, I was just thinking about that, and I was thinking how, like, you know, like, would I convert for a girl? I don't know, because like I don't like necessarily like have a religion that I like, right? Because I feel like, I mean, I don't want to put myself like too much out there, but it's like, you know, I don't like, I just feel like all the religions are like right, you know what I mean? So it's like, what does it matter? I feel like religion is like something that you just want to use to like identify yourself, just so you can get it, like, fit in, right? I don't want to say like everything I want to say, but it's like, to me, I was thinking like, you know, like if a girl I was with was Jewish, right, or Muslim, would I convert to that religion for them and do all of their rituals and all their rites of whatever, you know, and go to all their appointments? And you know, the thing is that like, I would say like, you know what, I'm Jewish, right? Like, why not, right? Like, how does it, like, does that really affect my life? Because, you know, Jewish people, as bad as like people say things about Jewish people, you know, Jewish people are pretty wealthy, right? Like, most of the Jewish people are wealthy, and it's because like when you are part of that religion, it just kind of comes with the identity, you know what I mean? So when you are Jewish, pretty much equates to like having money. And that's why it's so hard to become Jewish, and why you have to study to be religious, that religion. Because if you want to be a Christian, all you gotta do is go in the water, right? All you gotta do is be baptized, and then you're a Christian. That's it. But for Judaism, you gotta do like study the Torah and wear yarmulkes and all that stuff, and celebrate Hanukkah instead of Christmas. And you know, and you know, it's like you gotta pay your dues, right, for that religion. It's like, yeah, a lot of Christians are wealthy, but it's not such a rigorous process. It's funny because it reminds me of the show Moral Oral, when they're like, there's the Jews for Jesus, right? The Christines. That's like the funniest thing, bro, because they're like, oh, Jesus, if he'd lived, or whatever, right? Oh, that also reminds me of a joke that I thought of, because I was thinking, like, while I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking like, the body of Christ, right? Like, most people think that like that means bread, but then like I was like looking in the mirror, and I was like looking at my six-pack forming, and I was like, I got the body of God, right? It's like God's body. And then it got me thinking like, oh, the body of Christ. Oh, wow. Because, you know, Jesus was pretty ripped, right? Apparently, like, at least at the church that I went to when I was growing up, he was on the cross and he had like a six-pack, right? Or maybe like he was kind of starving, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people depict Jesus as like ripped, right? So I got the body of Christ. But yeah. So when it comes to like converting, you know, like, what really is it to convert? Like, because it was making me think about an atheist, right? Like, if you're an atheist, does it matter if you convert to like a religion, if there's benefits and perks to converting to that religion? Because it's not like you care, right? Like, if you actually care about God or a religion, then it would be harder to like fake it, you know? Like, if you're really for, like, if you're really Islamic, because I feel like Muslims are the most like strictest on their religion, and they're like the ones that believe it the most, or like Jewish people. I feel like it's kind of similar, but it's like the last episode of Nobody Wants This that I watched, it was funny because it was like the opposite of that, because it was the episode with Seth Rogen, and he's like the cool rabbi, and he's like saying, yeah, we don't do any of that stuff, man. We're just chill. I just smoke weed. Right? if you're super strict on your religion, then it makes more sense to not want to fake a religion or convert to whatever you are. But if you're atheist and you don't really believe in anything, then it's like, why not just convert? And that's like the entire plot of Nobody Wants This, because the whole entire plot is that, oh, she doesn't want to convert because he's Jewish and she is not. But it's like, who cares, bro? Like, you don't even have a religion. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't have a religion, what does it matter if you're Jewish? You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, that was that episode. I think after that I watched Legend of Korra, and I watched Goldfinger, right? I watched James Bond Goldfinger right after that, and I like that movie a lot because the last time I watched a movie was 2 weeks ago. It was From Russia with Love. I'm gonna be honest, I was watching that movie and I had no idea what was going on. But with Goldfinger, because I'm just like watching all the James Bond movies just because I've never seen them, and I've watched so many because I love Venture Brothers, right? The Venture Brothers is like one of my favorite shows, and that show is just like literally a parody of James Bond. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch all the James Bond movies so I can understand these references. Just like Jimmy Neutron, there was an episode with Jet Fusion, right? And it's like, that's obviously James Bond. Goldfinger, it was funny because when I was growing up, I watched Austin Powers, right? And there was a movie, it was called Gold Member, and you know, I never knew, but the other day I was like realizing, I was like, oh, Gold Member, it's like his dick. That's what he was talking about instead of Goldfinger, right? But for some reason, I really like that movie a lot. Like, I actually was engaged with it, and you know, the sun was coming. I had just filmed the podcast. It was pretty late, and the sun was coming up, but I was still watching it because, you know, before I was like, I would have been like, you know what, the sun's coming up, I don't really want to finish it, like another movie. But I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll just finish it, and I did, and it was really good. I don't know why it was good. I don't know. I'm not sure why I was so engaged with it. It was just like really like, it just like clicked in my head for me. The From Russia with Love, it didn't. Dr. No, it did. Dr. No was pretty good, but I don't know what the next one is, but you know, I'm gonna watch it later on and I'll figure it out. All right. So anyways, going back to superior genetics, right? I feel like Goldfinger kind of embodies that, because what is a Goldfinger? Superior genetics, right? I was watching No Jumper one day, and I remember Adam saying that he had a superpower of just like finding something that isn't valued in the community and bringing it to light. And I was thinking, you know what, that's kind of an okay power to have, because he's pretty successful. Like, he did pretty good with it. I try to because I want to say things, but I don't want to put too much of my like personal details out. So it's like, that's the hardest part about doing a podcast, because it's like, you got to remember, you don't want everyone knowing anything about you, you know? Like today I was at the gym and some guy came up to me and I had no idea what he wanted. I had already made a video about this. I think it was called if you go on my Nick Torius channel or King Torius channel, it's called I've been shining bright. I like to shine bright and I know how to fight. I think that's what I called it. Or no. It was called intensity, life increasing intensity, right? So this guy, he comes up to me in the gym and stuff, and he's like, you know, I thought he was. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of times when guys come up to me, I don't necessarily think that they're fans of me, but it has been times when guys come up to me and they're like, "Oh, bro, I watch your stuff," and I'm like, "Oh, thanks," you know. I would say it shows a lot of times, but mainly a lot of times like it's at the most randomest places. But whatever. Bro comes up to me and he's like, yo, you used, like, I'm thinking that he's like, yo, you don't remember me? Like, I deadass thought he was saying that, and I was like, I deadass thought he was saying like, yo, you don't remember me? And I'm trying to figure out who the heck is this guy. And he's like, bro, you took the last spray. I forgot why I'm telling this story, but I was like, bro, like, wait, I just took that shit like 2 seconds ago, bro. I literally took it 2 seconds. I sprayed the machine and then I put it on top so I put the spray on top of the machine so I could wipe it. And then this guy comes up to me. He's like, you took the last spray. And I'm just like looking at him like, are you really telling me this? Like, you really came up to me to say this nonsense to me, And after that, it was just war, right? It was like literally just war because he doesn't want to be a tough guy. And he was like trying to be a tough guy basically. But whatever. I forgot why I was telling the story. I just wanted to finish it. Anyways, what was I talking about? Superior genetics, right? You are not subject to the genetics that your parents gave you, because I feel like that is just a limiting belief. I feel like just because you look a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay looking that way forever, which is why we have glow ups, right? You could be, like, what is the point of genetics, right? Because a lot of times I'm a guy, so it's like, as a guy, if I go on with a girl, like, right, I'm thinking, damn, she's so sexy, she's so fine, right? But for me, I'm not thinking, oh, I want to spread my genetic material and create more of my genetics, right? Because then I would think about my family, right? And I'm like, do I really want more of my family out there, right? But you don't think about that. You just think that's what I want, but that's like, but it's like, obviously your family was successful for a reason, right? You could not be, like, in the book I was listening to, Anti-Fragile, they were saying that the reason like you're here is because all of your other ancestors were successful, right? And that's the thing. When you get separated from your family, you don't necessarily know what made you successful in the first place, right? And I think that's kind of like the fun of it, right? Because some people, they have like their lineage, their family lineage, and they'll be like, oh, my family spans generations. But it's like, why? Like, for what reason would you make a toxic household, right? Like, why would you create a toxic environment for a family, right? I'm just letting it sink in. You know what I mean? Because I don't know, bro. Like, what I'm talking about is like broken homes. What I'm talking about is guys that, aren't taking responsibility. Women that aren't taking responsibility, right? Accountability, whatever. It's just, as a guy, I understand, because sometimes, when it's like those hours, there's been, like, I've always told myself, like, I would never understand how a guy could leave a girl, right? Like, with their baby. Like, you have a kid, so you gotta, like, it's something that you guys gotta be together at least until like that kid is old enough to not have trauma, right? Because you want that kid to be successful, right? It's just weird because I was thinking about right now. I was listening to a podcast with the CEO of Shopify, and he was saying how his like story of him being raised in a broken home. He didn't get into like his dad's situation about how his dad left and stuff. He wanted to, but then the interviewer guy, I forgot his name. It's like a really big podcast. I don't even know the name of the podcast. but it's like an entrepreneur podcast. Like, bro interviews like everybody, and he's always the number one on YouTube when you search like any business podcast. It's like it's only his podcast exists. Anyways, he was saying he was dismissing his, like, he wanted to get into his broken home situation, but he didn't. They just like glided over it. But you know, he's pretty successful, I would say, because he's the president of Shopify. So it's like, why not? But I mean, the thing about it is that a lot of times you grow up and you hear these stories, right? And especially like anything you hear on the internet, all these stories about like, oh yeah, I grew up, but I had nothing, da 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 da. You know, that's like hearing about a kid that didn't go, like a person that went to that person that didn't go to college and then they became successful, right? It's like for every person that didn't go to college that became successful, there's like 1,000 people that went to college and didn't become successful and didn't become an entrepreneur, right? A successful entrepreneur. So as many people that come from broken homes, that come from like messed up families, as many of those people that say like, yeah, I came from nothing, I came from the dirt, like, yeah, you hear about that a lot, but I think that's called survivorship bias or something. And it's like, yeah, but you know what, you have a better chance. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more people that are successful that came from, because, you know, I was thinking earlier, you know, if somebody told me, yo, your success came from your parents because your parents are rich, right? I would just think to myself, like, hell yeah, bro, I'm so fucking lucky. Like, I'm so happy that I have wealthy parents to help me out with everything that I need, right? That I don't have to struggle, that I don't have to, you know, make my face ugly to be sick, you know, to stay above water, you know? Because, you know, the struggle doesn't make you look good. The struggle doesn't look good. The struggle is not fun. And, you know, people glamorize it, but you just gotta be smart enough to just say, fuck that, bro. Like, especially like we're like rap music, right? Like, if you listen to rap, they always glamorize the hood, and people will say like, oh yeah, I came from the hood, I rap my hood. And then you hear the other side, you're like, yo, these motherfuckers are dying over another nigga's neighborhood, right? Like a white man's neighborhood that they don't even own. So it's like, you know, there's better. It's just peering through things in a either vertical or horizontal way, right? Like, a lot of people look at their situation as horizontal, like what is happening around me, rather than trajectory, you know. You know, that's the thing too. I like, how am I gonna speak for anyone? Because, you know, I don't know. I was gonna say like, I don't like, because to me on my daily basis, it's so hard to make helpful content, right? Because I'm such a vast-minded person where it's like, what doesn't even matter, right? I always gotta tell myself that, Nick, if you were like born in another body and you didn't have any of the resources that you had to understand the knowledge that you have, like, you know, just make content for that person. So it's like, okay, because it's like, you know, there's people that know more than me, right? And there's people that know things that I don't know. So it's like, like I can go even deeper, but that's not for this podcast. But a lot of times you never know what anyone knows. I used to think that people were stupid, right? I used to think that there were actually stupid people in the world, but there's not. Like, even if you read the 48 laws of power, I think one of the laws of power is not to act too intelligent, right? Because I always go around the world with my intelligence on the full force, right? Like, I use my intelligence as a defense. It's like, yo, like the other day I got into I wouldn't say altercation. It was just like this old man was trying me, and then I just like used my intelligence, and he was like, oh, this isn't like a regular black guy. Right? So he backed off because he's like, oh, this guy's intelligent. And I was like, yeah, I'm like a sword. You know what I mean? Anyways, you know, people aren't as stupid as you think. I'm like totally getting away from the point that I was gonna say, but people just aren't as stupid as you think. So when you give advice, it's just kind of funny. Anyways, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. Superior genetics. I don't know, bro. It's not coming back to me. the whole point of this is that basically just to take control, right? Because, you know, growing up, I always was like fashion wasn't really important in my home for me, right? That's all I'll say, is that like I was basically like condemned for caring about fashion. So I guess it comes from like, you know, when you like, for when it's Christmas and you get like socks or something, and then you as a little boy you're like, oh, I don't want no socks, I want video games, right? So it's like you grow up with that mindset of, oh, socks aren't fun, socks aren't cool, right? That's what I was saying, because it's like, you know, you never know, because everyone's raised different, right? Everyone is raised, like every family is a team, right? That's the whole point of what I was talking about, is like, why would you raise a broken home? Because a family is a team, right? That's the whole point of a family, is to be your team. And it's like, if you don't have a coach, head of the team, then your family is gonna lose. Like, imagine having a strong family, right? Like, imagine having a tightly knit family where it's like everyone understands each other, everyone is cool with each other, right? It's like you could start from scratch if you need to. Sometimes I guess that's just the role that you have to play, right? Like a spore falling off of a starfish, I guess. When you just branch off and you just do your own thing, right? You're just like, fuck it, bro, I'm just gonna do my own thing. That's another thing, is like motivation from the wrong places. When you're motivated from a place of anger, right? From a place like angry motivation, as much as like it helps people, I feel like it's not that the greatest, because angry motivation is very volatile. Like, it can motivate you really good because it'll make you, it's like adding like fuel, like gasoline to fire, right? It'll be like, but it's also very self-destructive. And, you know, I feel like I've grown up with a lot of negative motivation, right? So it's like I would always look up to, I couldn't say I looked up to negative role models. One of my biggest role models was Charlie Sheen, right? Even to this day, because I just started watching 2.5 Men again, and it's so funny because it's like, watching 2.5 Men is so funny, bro, because watching 2.5 Men is funny because Charlie is like, his role in the show, like his character is literally just like role model to young boys, right? Like, that's his, like, if you were watching a show and they were like, oh, hypnotize this person to believe this, right? It's like, as a young kid, you see Charlie Sheen and you're like, bro, like, that's the life I want to live. Like, he's rich, he doesn't work, he has a bunch of beautiful women coming in and out of his house all the time. He's just chilling, right? He's just super chill. Like, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm talking about Charlie Harper, like the character, right? Like, I don't know anything about Charlie Sheen, but I think Charlie Sheen is pretty cool. I always looked up to him. Like, I never really, the only movies I've seen from him was like Scary Movie 3, but I really love 2.5 Men, bro. It's so funny. But he's like literally a role model, right? And it's so funny, because it's like, why not? Like, he's like, I'm the man, bro. He's just so chill, right? And it's like, that's the kind of chillness that you want to achieve, right? Like, you just want to like be chill. That's why for me, it's like, I'm such a chill person, right? Like, my vibe is very like inside I'm like I'm like a miner, like, go, right? But on the outside, I'm just like, no, you're not allowed in here, right? Like, you're not allowed inside of the mind, because it's mine and I own it. I own the club. I think that's enough for this week's episode. Superior genetics. I feel like you should want to change your genetics, right? Your wholeness can be erased. So with that being said, like the video, comment below what you think, subscribe if you're new. If you have any questions, just DM me on Instagram at Nick Torius at 6 interviews. I'll make a video talking about your question on my Nick Torius /King Torius channel. go check that out, because I have so many pages. I have my 6 Feet Clips page, and I have check out the 6 Feet Going Deep podcast. I'm gonna be doing more episodes of that. Also check out my interviews. Doing more interviews. A lot of big people. A lot of big people on the way. So I'm just getting prepared to that. This I just do because it's like, I can rely on myself. I trust myself. This is the 5th day. This is the 5th episode in a row that I've done this. So it's like, I've built that self-trust, that like confidence that, yeah, I'm going to do it no matter what. And, this is episode 5 of Nick Torius Nite, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.